Well, a warm welcome to you wherever you find yourself in the world. This is Africanews, and my name is Hawa, Suleimana, Issah. Now, international reports and findings on drug consumption, drug trafficking, and related drug crimes in Africa weaves a narrative of a continent under attack by unscrupulous drug dealers and abusers. Besides the use of some African countries as a regular transit points, and I must emphasize regular transit points to export drugs to other parts of the world, the statistics on health and other ramifications in Africa is staggering. We're giving this menace on drug abuse and drug trafficking a continental analysis with our team of experts as we join the rest of the world to mark International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. Meet our panelists after this. Welcome back to the program. So as you have just seen, we're joined by Sky by three analysts. And the first, he is a consultant and security expert who has done extensive works with international agencies, including the United Nations, Dr. Oludare Ogunlana. Good to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you, Hawa.
Right, Adib Saani is our second panelist. He is an international security analyst and CEO for Jatikay Center for Human Security and Peace Building. We're also happy to have you on the program, Adib.
Thank you.
And our third is Larab Tangshak, Ayuba. He's a cross-cultural negotiator and is a lecturer at the University of Jos in Nigeria. We're happy to have you all, gentlemen, on the program.
Thank you.
All right, let me move straight into it. Right, there are separate reports of seizures and arrests of drug traffickers and abusers, a well-known phenomenon in Africa, which is almost becoming a cliche. But we have seen a dearth of veritable trafficking, consumption patterns, and lack of legal framework for effective criminal justice. Let me start with you, Adib Saani. You have done extensive research in this area. Do you think Africa is a continent, as a continent, has accorded drug and its related challenges enough priority?
Well, I beg to say that we've not really accorded it the attention it deserves. In fact, the scathing report published by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime is quite categorical about the seriousness of the issues of drugs, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. It would also interest you to note that from the reports, 87% of all pharmaceutical opioids seized is from West Africa, Central Africa, and North Africa. So obviously, the statistics is an indication of our inability or perhaps our lack of commitment towards dealing with the issue of drug trafficking within the continent. Indeed, the issue of drugs has gone beyond being a health crisis, but it is an existential, economic, political, and security threat we're contending with. Information, and of course, a lot of research has even been conducted that shows a clear linkage between drug trafficking and terrorism and even transnational crime. From the information I have, come across between 2005 and 2008, Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, which is rearing terror, especially within the Sahel region, has been able to make between $40 and $60 million from drugs alone. So that should tell you the extent of the issue and, of course, the extent of our inaction towards dealing with the scourge of drug trafficking in sub-Saharan Africa especially.
Bring Dr. Ogunlana in. Doctor, what do you have to say on this?
On paper, we have all these legal instruments to combat this threat. But the reality is that we face one thing, our infrastructures are not there. We have porous border. You see when these drugs come down from where it's coming from, when it's dispersed in the ocean, it moves into Sahel and Sahara, and that we have not been able to do that. Then we face insider trade. That's collaborative government in Africa. I will echo what Antonia Maria said. That's the Executive Director of UNODC. Today, the drug cartel, they no longer buy businesses, they buy power. So we'll add them in power. And that law is the legal instrument we have so far is just been working for the poor people. It's easy to arrest somebody who's just carrying a kilo of cannabis and put that person in prison for 11 months. But up to today, we have not been able to do something serious about the sponsors of those who are carrying drugs. And that's the issue.
Let me bring Mr. Ayuba in. Unfortunately, we can't get his visual. We can't get him on video, but then he is. We can hear him. Hello, Mr. Ayuba.
Yeah, hello.
Right. What do you have to say on this?
And like he said, the political will is not as if it's not there. But again, the political will in itself, it's also an economy for those in power and also those outside power. So it's a vicious circle that also links you to what you would want to call the difficult temperaments in terms of the unemployment that you also find within these climes. Someone gone through school and then at the end of the day with all the hopes and the beliefs that after school he's going to over to engage. But being engaged becomes a problem because there's no space to engage such minds. And then you also see what you call the easy access to these substances that we're talking about. And it's not just the access, because if there is no user, you would never get a seller.
Do you think that we are lacking a strong existing drug law enforcement mechanisms in Africa to harmonize drug controls?
Yes, the laws are there, but are the laws domestically in context? That's the question we should ask ourselves. The laws are not domestically in context. You cannot bring an American law and expect it to work in Nigeria. Our climes are different. You can't expect a Nigerian law to work in Ghana. As much as we have and we fall within the same zone, there are also differences in terms of the selective application of it. So the laws do exist. And if they do exist, and you have a porous border where you don't have control, you expect that the market would be in areas where you have these porous borders. So yes, how domestically contextual are those laws in the climes to which we speak about? It's a big business. It's underground business. It's just like coming to say the sniffers of cocaine are the ones in charge, rather than the producers of the cocaine and the traffickers of the cocaine. They are the ones we should nip in the bud. That's one of the ways you can.
All right, Ms. Ayuba, I want to bring Adib into this. Adib, do you see some sort of weak coordination in terms of response approach at national and international levels in dealing with these drug menace in Africa?
We have consistently failed to address it from the socio-economic and geopolitical perspective. We all know what happened between 2008 and 2009 in Guinea-Bissau with a string of killings that was directly linked to some high-level politicians in the country, and which was even identified in the 2010 academic research work published by Dr. Kwesi, and in that point to some level of politicians meddling in issues of drugs. So until we are able to sanitize efforts or mechanisms on the ground in individual countries, it would always be a bit of a challenge doing it at the sub-regional or regional levels. We have issues of highly sophisticated network of drug traffickers who are able to traffic the drugs under the radar. So until we are also able to equip the various drug enforcement agencies within the countries, the individual countries, we will be finding it very hard to deal with the scourge of drug trafficking.
And so what do you see as a way forward for Africa as we're losing thousands of lives to drug abuse and illicit trafficking?
The way forward is also encompassed and entangled in what each one of us said. But again, it's at the family unit. It's the closet of it. Do we listen to the young ones? And if we're listening to the young ones, do we tell them what to do? And the logical connection and the sequence is that from the young ones to institutions and infrastructures that we build. Is it the religious infrastructure? Is it the social infrastructure? Is it the economic infrastructure? And then it also links up with the communities and it sinks into our cultures and traditions. And nobody stops organizing.
All right.
It's one of the biggest.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me have the two other panelists have their say on the way forward so we can wrap up on the program because of time. And so let me first of all bring Adib Saani in. Adib Saani, what is the way forward for Africa?
We've had countless occasions where individual countries go on summits, they append their signature to protocols, documents, and all that, but they return to their countries and they see it as not really necessarily reflecting it in the national agenda. So I think, first of all, we have to have that right level of commitment on the part of individual countries. Come to also think of it, when you take a closer look at the drug laws, either from the individual states or regional level, it is so punitive. And we have failed to address the issues of reintegration, former drug users and all that. Rather, we are very much on the arrest and prosecution bit of it. That, I must say, is denying a lot of people the opportunity to seek help because they fear that the laws might catch up with them. So I think going forward, like I have indicated already, we have to adopt a multidisciplinary, multi-pronged approach to dealing with the issue of drug trafficking. However, there's also the need for a deeper partnership between individual states, especially with the security agencies, so they are able to share intelligence, they are able to share information, and so we don't have it spilling over into many countries within, especially the West African sub-region. I think that is important going forward.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Ogunlana, you think same?
An educated man is a liberator, so we have to go back and make our continent great again. We have to go with the social intervention and give education to our young people. Two, we have to cooperate and ensure that we go after all the warlords, the sponsors. So if you look at African corridor today, you see most of them, it's either they're in the parliament, they're in the arm of government. That issue for a long period of time that we want some of them extradited to the United States to face prosecution. But they are in charge of power until we cooperate with international community that if those people, if they are collaborating and they cannot get them, we're able to get them anywhere they should get them and go after them. Then, like I said, the faith-based organization, the community-based organization should come together at this point in time and speak to young people.
Thank you very much. So we seem to be entangled in a web of our creation as Africa. We're looking at politicians who are partly involved. We're looking at international regulations which are not working and all that. But I believe change begins with you, wherever you find yourself this day, as we join the rest of the world to mark International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. Change begins with you, and there's something you can definitely do. My name is Hawa, Issah. Thank you very much for your time and for being a big part of the show. Keep watching Africa News.